What's up? It's Elijah Campbell from 107.5 The Game and the early game here from the scene of the crime. And the crime today, a win! For the first time since late September, the South Carolina Gamecocks come out victorious in this beautiful stadium here at Williams-Brice Stadium. Final score, South Carolina 51, Coastal Carolina 7. In a week after blowing a 30-3 halftime lead against the number 3 team in the country in Texas A&M, South Carolina showed that, well, that loss wasn't going to linger very long because they came out here and took care of business quick, including a touchdown to Jaden Sellers on an RPO that turned into a screen, then turned into a 75-yard touchdown on the very first play of the game. Carolina wasted absolutely zero time getting on the scoreboard, scored 20 first quarter points, had a 37-0 halftime lead, and we all just kind of cruised from there en route to a 51-7 win here tonight. Look, offense executed a lot better. I mean, for the first time this year, South Carolina A scored more than 3 touchdowns in a game, B scored more than 23 offensive points in a game, and C gained more than 400 yards of total offense. Remember, last week they had over 300 yards of total offense in the first half against A&M, but only had 76 yards of total offense in the second half. That math didn't add up very well for South Carolina because they were still a smidge under 400 total yards in that game. So, yes, it took 11 games to get here, but in game 11, South Carolina's offense eclipsed 400 total yards of offense. They had a lot of it today. In the first 3 drives, South Carolina had 21 yards per play. Good enough to beat anybody, right? If you're going at 21 yards per play. They were able to convert red zone opportunities. One big thing this team hasn't done a lot this year was when they're not hitting on explosives, getting into the red zone and not scoring. Well, tonight they were 4 for 4 in their red zone opportunities, converting all 4 of those red zone trips into touchdowns. Yes, it's Coastal Carolina. I get it. This is a Coastal Carolina team that obviously you are bigger, faster, stronger than the millisecond they get off the bus and the millisecond you get off the bus. But we've seen this team at times this year against teams they're supposed to beat and teams they're supposed to have advantages of, just not take advantage of it, right? Not utilize that. We saw in this very stadium in the second week of the year, the offense kind of sputter and stall out against South Carolina State, who won the MEAC today. Congratulations, Coach Chennis Berry in South Carolina State. They're going back to the Celebration Bowl. But you played them here and you didn't play like a team that was playing an FCS team. Well, today you came in here and you beat a Sun Belt team the way you're supposed to beat a Sun Belt team when you're the SEC. Now, nobody's taking any incredible victory laps. Nobody's hanging any banners by beating Coastal Carolina. And they know that, honestly, the season is not exactly what you wanted it to be, and it's still going to be a failure, right? But you got to win underneath your belt. You're going to feel pretty good about playing a Clemson team that struggled all season long, because we do have one more game here in this building, and that is next week at noon against the Clemson Tigers in a rivalry game. Try to get 2 in a row against that school in the upstate. But tonight's game, obviously everything I just laid out, efficient in the offensive game. You ran the ball really well, ran for well over 200 yards in this game, threw the ball really well. Lenoris's legs were in full display tonight. He ran for, it was probably their leading rusher in this game, but offensively you clicked, and you clicked for the entire game. Mike Furry, I thought, had a really good game plan. They got really creative. They did a lot of things that maybe Coastal wasn't prepared for, but beating a team like that, even no matter who it is a win for you. Like, it's impressive. Like, you'll take it, right? And when you've had a long year like this, you celebrate all the victories you get, no matter how big or how small. So good on them for being able to put up 51 points rather, on the scoreboard tonight. So they're excited about that. That's something to make you a little bit excited about the game next week. Defensively, you pitched a shutout. I did say Coastal scored 7, came on a blocked punt, returned for a touchdown on special teams. So the defense themselves pitched a shutout. Awesome night from the defense. Now again, you played Coastal Carolina, but you executed the game plan. That's the one thing I asked Coach Beamer after the game was about execution, because Mike Furry talked during the week about how a lack of execution cost them the Texas A&M game in the second half. Well, tonight, Shane talked about how well they executed all aspects of the game plan. Blocking, tackling, on offense specifically, taking care of your assignment, doing what it is you're supposed to do, knowing your job, and then going out there and executing the game plan. That alone was evident tonight, and it was a lot better tonight than it has been in certain games this year. Too little, too late? Yes, because you're not playing in a bowl game. But you know what? You showed that you didn't quit. In my career, I've not been doing this for decades, but I've been doing this for a little bit. I've covered teams that have faced really bad seasons and by the last couple weeks of the season quit. I remember covering a 2018 Vanderbilt men's basketball team that lost their best player to a meniscus injury early in the season, had a couple of heartbreaking losses in SEC play, and by the time they were 0-16 in conference play going in last 2 games of the regular season, they quit and they got blown out and were total no-shows in those games. I've seen teams quit. This one, at least, I will give them credit for not quitting. Shane at least has them all still bought into what they have going left, right? When you're a 3-7 team, it can be easy to kind of just go through the motions tonight. It can be easy to kind of mail it in, right? But they did show they didn't mail it in, and I do respect that a lot. But now the attention turns to next week, right? The Clemson game. Clemson's bowl eligible because they beat Furman tonight, so there's not bowl game or bust for Clemson in this game, but there's state pride, there's patriotism, there's the Palmetto Bowl on the line. The last time these two teams played in this stadium, it was a 16-7 slog that Clemson won. Last time these two teams played was the 3rd and 16 Lenora Sellers miracle game where they ended up winning 17-14 in Clemson last year. So, two teams that have underwhelmed and underperformed based on their expectations will meet here in Williams-Brice next Saturday in a very interesting chapter of this rivalry, but it is another chapter nonetheless. It's the biggest football game in the state every year, and I still expect it to have some juice because this rivalry, no matter how the teams are, always has juice, and I know I'm excited. Share us your thoughts, comment below, or call in 803-404-6100, the AAA Heating and Air phone lines, or text in to the Firehouse Subs text line. Again, same number, 803-404-6100. We'll start Reaction Monday off. Monday morning, 6 a.m. Myself, Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen will be taking your calls, your reaction, your thoughts on tonight's game, and your initial feel on the Clemson game on Saturday. Our station will be doing it all the way up until 6 p.m. whenever Jay Phillips and Terry Ford go off the air. Looking forward to hearing from you all on Monday morning. Until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and for the first time since late September, enjoy a Gamecock football victory weekend. I'll talk to you again Monday morning.